Gentlemen, today we're going to tackle a mistake that many men make in their relationships. One that kills attraction faster than anything else. Chasing women to the point where they completely lose interest. And I know what you're thinking, seducer. Why does this happen? Well, the answer is simple. When we're too available or come off as too eager to get her attention, what we're really doing is making her question whether we're worth it. That's right, the opposite of what you intended. But don't worry, because today I've got the solution for you. In this video, I'm going to share 5 strategies to flip the dynamic and make her the one who's chasing you. We're going to see how to adjust your approach, create a bit of mystery, and apply some psychological principles that will reignite her interest. Are you ready? Because if you do this right, my friend, she'll be the one wanting to be closer to you. So, let's first understand why this problem happens, and, most importantly, how to fix it. When we feel like a woman is pulling away, the most common reaction is to panic, right? And that's where many guys make the mistake of sending desperate messages or bending over backward to please her. Gentlemen, even if the intention is good, this behavior does the opposite of what you want. Instead of drawing her closer, you push her further away. This happens because we've bought into the wrong idea that we need to chase her to keep her interested. When you're too available, she doesn't feel the need to put in any effort. And here's where a key principle of attraction psychology comes into play. Interest grows when attention decreases. When something is scarce, it becomes more valuable. Now, imagine you've been dating a girl, and suddenly you notice she's becoming distant. What most guys do in this situation is panic. But what you actually need to do is step back and focus on your own interests. By doing this, not only will you feel better about yourself, but she'll start to notice your absence and wonder, why isn't he as available anymore? The key here is to change the dynamic. Instead of chasing her, you need to evaluate and adjust your approach, creating a situation where she feels the need to work to get your attention. If you're ready to change the game, keep watching, because we're about to dive into the first strategy you can apply right now, and that is the mental withdrawal. Gentlemen, this is one of those powerful strategies that, when done right, can shift the entire dynamic between you and that girl. So, what's it all about? It's simple. It's about gradually reducing your communication without cutting off contact completely. This isn't about ghosting her. It's about creating just enough distance that she starts to notice your absence. You see, my fellow seducer, when you're constantly around someone, showering them with attention all the time, they start getting used to it. The mystery, the excitement. It fades. What we want to do with this strategy is the opposite. We want her to feel your absence, to wonder where you've been and what's changed. That's what creates curiosity and, yes, sometimes even a little bit of fear that she might be losing you. Why does this work so well? Because when you stop being so available, you shift her focus. If she was previously zeroing in on things she didn't like as much about you by pulling back, she'll start focusing on your positive traits. People tend to value what's harder to get, and by reducing your interactions, you create a sense of scarcity. That scarcity makes her think, why isn't he chasing me like before? Has he found someone else? Now, my friend, let's talk about what's going on in her mind. When you're not always there, her perception of you changes. She starts to remember those moments when you were fun, interesting, or just good company. This uncertainty makes her brain fill in the blanks with a more idealized version of you. It's like her mind starts upgrading the memory of who you are. How do we apply this in real life? Let's break it down. It's not about ignoring her or disappearing, because that would be a mistake. The key is to be strategic and subtle. If you were messaging her several times a day before, start reducing it to 1 or 2. It doesn't have to be a drastic shift, just enough for her to notice that something's changed without being able to pinpoint exactly why. That's when she starts asking herself, why isn't he paying as much attention to me anymore? When you do talk to her, my friend, keep a neutral tone. I'm not saying to be cold or distant, but don't show the same level of enthusiasm as before. What you want to project here is the image of someone who's not 100% sure of his feelings. This sparks her curiosity. She'll start thinking, wait, does he not like me as much anymore? Of course, gentlemen, balance is key. We're not telling you to cut off communication entirely, because that could backfire. It's about reducing it just enough that she feels your absence without making it seem like you're ignoring her. When done right, she won't feel rejected. Instead, she'll start making more effort to win back your attention. Here's a practical example to make it clear. Let's say you were texting her 5 times a day, right? In the first week, you reduce that to 3. She'll keep responding as usual, but something will start to shift in her subconscious. In the second week, you drop it down to 1 or 2 messages, and that's when she starts noticing something's up. She begins wondering, is he busy? What's he up to? Finally, in the third week, you reduce the contact even further, sending a message every couple of days, but without the same enthusiasm as before. You're not the same guy she knew, and that starts to shift her perception of you. What kind of reactions can you expect? Well, my friend, some girls might react with curiosity, wanting to know what's going on with you. She might ask if everything is okay, or start reaching out more often to regain your attention. The important thing here is to maintain control. If you notice her coming closer, that's perfect. But don't fall into the trap of immediately reverting back to your old behavior. Now, if instead of curiosity, she feels a bit confused or even hurt, stay calm. Explain that you've been busy, but don't over-explain or justify yourself. Not everyone reacts the same way, and if she doesn't seem to notice the change right away, don't get discouraged. Patience is key. When applied correctly, this strategy starts to show results over time. Now, let's move on to creating cognitive dissonance. All right, gentlemen, now we're diving into one of the most powerful psychological tools you can use to capture her attention and, more importantly, reignite her interest. Cognitive dissonance. Have you ever felt that mental discomfort when something you believed about someone doesn't quite line up with what they're showing you? Well, that mental discomfort is exactly what we're aiming for, because it creates intrigue. Imagine you're in a relationship where she started to see you as predictable, maybe even a little boring. That's the perfect setup to introduce something unexpected, something that makes her think, wait, who is this guy really? This is where cognitive dissonance comes into play. By showing her a side of you she didn't expect, you're challenging the image she's built of you, and that instantly sparks curiosity. Let's break down the psychology behind this, gentlemen. The theory says that when people encounter a contradiction between what they believed and what they're seeing, they feel uncomfortable. Their mind wants to resolve this contradiction to regain a sense of coherence. And here's where mystery becomes your best friend. The human mind hates gaps in understanding, and when you present something that doesn't fit her perception of you, her curiosity is automatically triggered. It becomes almost like a mission for her to figure out who you really are. So, my fellow seducer, what you need to do is introduce unexpected aspects of your life or personality that leave her wondering. Maybe she's always seen you as the serious type, and suddenly you casually mention that you practice an extreme sport or have an artistic talent you've never shared. These little surprises make her rethink her initial perception of you. Now that you understand the concept, let's talk about how to apply it in real life. This is where it gets fun. Before you do anything, reflect on how she currently sees you. Does she think of you as predictable, maybe even boring? If so, this is your chance to turn that image upside down. The next step is to choose an unexpected aspect of yourself. Maybe you have an uncommon hobby or a unique skill that she has no idea about. The point is to pick something that genuinely surprises her and doesn't fit into the image she has of you. But here's the trick, my friend. This isn't about making some grand, dramatic revelation. The best way is to drop this information subtly into conversation. Let's say you're talking about movies and out of nowhere you casually mention, "Yeah, I actually participated in a theater project last summer." There's no need to make a big deal of it. The key is to deliver it as if it's no big deal. This creates that little spark of incongruence that starts working in your favor. Once you've dropped that surprise, keep the curiosity alive. Don't rush to give her all the details. Let the intrigue do its work. If she asks for more, respond with something like, "Yeah, I did it a couple of times. It was fun, but I prefer more laid-back stuff now." This not only fuels the mystery, but also leaves her wanting more. Gentlemen, cognitive dissonance isn't a one-time strategy. The key is consistency. As you reveal these unexpected sides of yourself, make sure your behavior reflects a more layered, complete personality. Start showing a bit more adventure in other aspects of your life, or even change small habits to keep feeding that renewed interest. Here's a practical example to make it clearer. Imagine Daniel, a guy who's always been seen as serious and responsible by his friends. Of course, Anna, the girl he's interested in, sees him the same way. But one day, during a conversation about vacations, Daniel casually mentions that he participated in an improv show while on a study abroad program. Bam! Surprise! Anna is stunned. You? Improv? I thought you were just a serious office guy. That revelation creates a mental short circuit in Anna's perception. She realizes she doesn't know Daniel as well as she thought, and suddenly her mind is flooded with questions. What else don't I know about him? Is he really as boring as I assumed? That curiosity is what starts to work in Daniel's favor. Of course, it's not always smooth sailing. How does Daniel handle different reactions? If Anna is surprised, Daniel can laugh it off and say something like, "Yeah, I know, you didn't see that coming, huh?" If she gets more curious and starts asking questions, that's perfect, because it means her interest is growing. But if she seems confused or pulls back a little, Daniel has to remember that this is part of the process. He shouldn't push. Sometimes the best move is to step back and let her come back on her own with more curiosity. Remember, gentlemen, cognitive dissonance doesn't guarantee she'll chase you right away, but it definitely sets the stage for that to happen. It's all about managing her expectations and keeping the mystery alive. Strategy 3. Introducing a social triangle. Gentlemen, this strategy is key if you want to generate urgency and interest effectively. Let's talk about the social triangle, a concept that, when applied correctly, can completely shift the dynamic of your relationship. You already know that competition fuels motivation, and if she sees you surrounded by other people, especially women, she'll start to notice something important. Your attention is valuable. This creates a sense of scarcity that will push her to invest more in you. And you might be wondering, fellow seducer, why does this work so well? Well, the human mind is wired to respond to social dynamics. When there's a social triangle in play, people begin to compare their options and reevaluate their choices. If she perceives that other people are competing for your attention, her brain will automatically kick into gear to resolve that dissonance. In simpler terms, she starts thinking, if other women are interested in him, what am I missing out on? Now, gentlemen, how do we apply this in real life? It's simple. Join activities you enjoy, like hiking, sports, or anything that excites you. Not only will you have fun, but you'll also expand your social circle, and the best part is, you'll come across as someone active and desirable. Picture this. You join a hiking group. Every week you go out exploring mountains, share experiences with others, and without even realizing it, you become someone well-liked in that environment. What's interesting here is that she'll start to notice you're happy, busy, and surrounded by people without needing her company. And that, my friend, sparks powerful curiosity. She'll start wondering, what's he up to? Why is he so content without me? Don't hesitate to casually share these social experiences with her. You can say something like, I've really been enjoying hiking with the group, meeting new people, and sharing moments. Life feels more exciting with fresh connections, don't you think? This reinforces that you're independent and well-rounded, subtly sending a clear message. There's more to me than you think. And when you show her that your life is interesting without her, her interest begins to reignite. Here's a real-life example. Imagine Marco, a guy who had been dating Carla, but the spark between them had faded. Marco decided to join a hiking group and started socializing with other women in the group. Without realizing it, every time he shared stories about his mountain adventures with Carla, it stirred curiosity and maybe even a little jealousy in her. She began thinking, why is he spending time with other women? That simple doubt was enough to reignite her interest. When Carla saw that other women valued Marco's company, she worked harder to stay connected, proving how powerful competition can be as a motivator. When you talk about these experiences, keep the conversation light and fun. It's not about trying to impress, it's about showing that you're enjoying your life. Share anecdotes like, "One girl challenged me to a race during a hike, and I beat her." That creates a fun atmosphere and shows her you're someone who enjoys every moment. One key thing, gentlemen, is to always add something new when you talk about your social experiences. Don't repeat the same story over and over. This way, you keep her interest alive. Remember, the goal here is to create a sense of urgency. If she feels that others are interested in you, her desire to deepen the connection will grow. Now, how do we handle the different reactions she might have? The most important thing is to be prepared to deal with various emotions, whether it's surprise, jealousy, or even admiration. If she reacts with surprise, smile and stay relaxed. Say something like, "Yeah, I've been exploring more. Life's too short to stay home all the time, don't you think?" This not only keeps her intrigued, but also positions you as someone interesting and full of energy. If you sense she's feeling a bit jealous, don't criticize her. Instead, reinforce the emotional connection by saying, "I know I've been busy lately, but that doesn't mean I don't care about you. I've been exploring new things and I'd love for you to join me next time." This response not only reassures her, but also invites her to be a part of your life. The key here is to manage the dissonance you've created, reaffirm the connection, and make her feel comfortable reconnecting with you. By following these strategies, you'll keep the curiosity and intrigue alive. Rekindling her interest isn't about tricks, it's about well-managed social dynamics. At the end of the day, relationships are a game of interaction, and you control how they unfold. Maintain that confidence, and you'll see how the social triangle works in your favor. Strategy 4, attention diversion. Gentlemen, this strategy is simple but incredibly effective. Attention diversion involves reducing the amount of direct attention you give to a girl, and when done correctly, you will see her interest in you increase. The human mind seeks what is scarce, and when you are not always available or do not give your full attention, you create curiosity. This is where the dynamic begins to change. Why does this work? Because when you are not completely present in a conversation or social event, she starts to wonder, what is he thinking? Why isn't he paying all his attention to me? This type of questioning generates intrigue and can spark renewed interest. For example, during a conversation, you could occasionally check your phone. Note, this doesn't mean ignoring her or being rude, but showing her that you have other things on your mind arouses her curiosity. If you do it subtly, she might wonder, what else is he doing that is so interesting? And that's when she begins to put in more effort to capture your attention. Additionally, in social situations like parties or gatherings, interact with others. You don't have to be glued to her all the time. Talk to other people, stay social, and then return to her. This creates a sense of competition. She may think, it seems like he's having fun with others. Maybe I should try harder to get his attention. And here's another tip, gentlemen. Talk about the importance of varying attention. You don't always have to be available. In a conversation, you could say something like, "Sometimes I think it's good not to be fully attentive to each other all the time. It keeps things interesting, don't you think?" This reinforces the idea that you're not ignoring her, but rather seeking a balance that keeps the spark alive. Now, let's put this in a more everyday context for you to visualize better. Imagine you're at dinner with her. The conversation flows, and suddenly you decide to take a pause to check an important message. Maybe it's from a friend or a simple notification, but the key is to do it casually. When you're done, return to the conversation with a smile and say something like, "Sorry, I just had to check something quickly. Where were we?" This little diversion generates curiosity, and she'll start to wonder if something else is capturing your attention. Well, seductive friend, let me give you some additional techniques to maintain interest with this strategy. For example, maintain good eye contact when you're with her. By diverting your attention, she will notice your absence, but when you return, The contrast between the two moments will make your presence feel even more significant. Another trick is to ask intriguing questions before diverting your attention. Something like, if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go? Then, when you return, she'll be thinking about the question. And when you resume the conversation, she'll want to share more with you. Also, when you refocus on her, remember details from past conversations. Ask how her project went, or if she watched the series you recommended. This not only shows that you care, but also reinforces that you are someone with an interesting and balanced life. By implementing this strategy, you'll notice different reactions. Some girls may be intrigued, while others might feel a little confused or even annoyed. The key is how you manage those reactions. If you notice she seems uncomfortable, ease the situation with a light comment like, "Are you having fun? I didn't want to miss out on this conversation. I was just checking a quick message." This calms the waters and reminds her that even when you're distracted, your attention is still valuable. Now, if she starts flirting with others, don't worry. This can actually be a positive sign. Maintain your confidence and keep being sociable. This can motivate her to want to get closer to you, seeking to reconnect and gain your attention. Remember, gentlemen, attention diversion isn't about playing with anyone's feelings. It's about maintaining an exciting dynamic. By introducing small pauses in the attention you give her, you allow both of you to reevaluate your feelings and keep that spark of interest alive. The goal here is clear. You want her to chase you. You are the one who sets the dynamic, and by creating curiosity and urgency, you'll keep her engaged and eager for more. With this strategy, you can completely transform how she perceives you, generating an interest that motivates her to seek more from you. The key is to be sociable, maintain that balance, and make your attention a valuable resource. Strategy 5. Subtle evaluation. Gentlemen, this strategy takes a different approach, but believe me, it is powerful. It's about changing the game from seeking her approval to subtly evaluating her behavior and compatibility with you. By doing so, you completely modify the power dynamic in the relationship. Not only does this increase your confidence, but it also makes her strive to meet your standards. And let's be honest, seducers, a woman who feels she has to earn your approval will pay you a lot more attention. Why does this work? Well, gentlemen, the human mind seeks validation and acceptance, but it also responds to expectations. By stopping the pursuit of her approval and instead assessing how she aligns with your values and expectations, you create an environment where she feels the need to invest more in the relationship. This demonstrates that you have confidence in yourself, that you value your own expectations, and that, gentlemen, is incredibly attractive. To put this into practice, you need to integrate questions about your values into conversations naturally. This will not only help you get to know her better, but it will also show her that you have clear standards. For example, you could ask her something like, "What do you think about the importance of honesty in a relationship?" Or, "What are your long-term goals?" These questions shouldn't feel forced, but should flow within the conversation. Now, it's also important to encourage her to reflect on her compatibility with you. One way to do this is by commenting on something like, "I like being with someone who values open communication. How do you handle disagreements in a relationship?" With this approach, you not only prompt her to reflect, but you also give her the opportunity to demonstrate how she fits with you. Additionally, speak openly about the importance of evaluating instead of seeking approval. For instance, you could say something like, "I've learned that it's important for us to have clear expectations and standards in a relationship so we can build something meaningful together." By doing this, you open the door to conversations about what both of you expect from a relationship, and she'll start to take what you both have more seriously. Let's look at some examples of how you can apply this strategy in real situations. If you're on a date, you could ask her a deep question, like, "What's most important to you in a relationship?" This not only gives you a clear perspective on her values, but also invites her to consider her own. Or perhaps in a more casual conversation, you could ask her, "What are you passionate about in life?" Or, "How do you handle stress and challenges?" These questions go beyond the superficial and allow her to reflect on her own life while evaluating how she compares to your expectations. And of course, gentlemen, it's essential that she feels her behavior is being evaluated, but without feeling judged. The key is to create an environment where both of you can reflect without pressure. So when she responds, listen attentively, show interest, and ask open-ended questions that invite deeper dialogue. For example, instead of asking, "Do you like to travel?" you might say, "What has been your favorite trip and why?" This keeps the conversation interesting and allows her to express herself more deeply. Another powerful technique is the use of reflection. If she shares something important, repeat or paraphrase her response to reinforce what she has said. If, for example, she says, "I love nature and spend a lot of time outdoors," you can respond with something like, "It seems you really value your connection with nature. What do you enjoy doing outdoors?" This not only shows that you're listening, but also that you value her perspective. And don't forget, gentlemen, that a light touch of friendly challenge can elevate the conversation. If she mentions a value that doesn't entirely align with yours, you might respond with something like, "Interesting, but I believe honesty is fundamental. What do you think?" This type of interaction fosters dialogue and makes her reflect on how her values align with yours. Of course, as you apply this strategy, you'll notice different reactions in her. Some girls may feel intrigued and excited, while others might feel a little uncomfortable. Don't worry if this happens. If you notice she seems uncomfortable, reassure her with something like, "I'm not trying to judge you. I just believe it's important for both of us to be clear about what we're looking for in a relationship." This eases the situation and clarifies that what you're seeking is a genuine connection. If she puts in more effort in the conversation, compliment her for sharing her thoughts. Give her space to express herself, because that's a sign she's interested in meeting your expectations. Keep a positive and encouraging approach, and watch how the power dynamic shifts in your favor. As you implement subtle evaluation, don't forget the emotional connection. You need to balance evaluation with moments of closeness. Share anecdotes, laugh together, and, if appropriate, show some vulnerability. After a conversation about values, you could share a personal story that illustrates how those values have influenced you. This not only humanizes the conversation, but also creates a space where both of you can be authentic. Finally, remember, gentlemen, that the goal of subtle evaluation is to create a healthy and balanced dynamic in the relationship. By shifting the focus from seeking her approval to evaluating her behavior, you empower yourself and make her strive to meet your expectations. Keep the conversations interesting with a touch of challenge, and make sure to offer space for emotional connection. In doing so, you'll not only be building renewed interest, but also a stronger and more meaningful relationship. Subtle evaluation allows you to transform the dynamics of your relationship, leading her to meet your standards and fostering genuine interest in you. And as we've mentioned throughout this video, all of these strategies can positively influence your relationships. To recap, we've explored 5 strategies that can completely change the dynamic in your relationships and make that special girl chase you. Now, I'd love to hear from you, gentlemen. Have you tried any of these strategies? Which one do you think could work best in your situation? Leave me your comments below. I love reading your experiences. And well, my dear gentlemen, remember that you can leave your ideas in the comments. I'd love to know what you think of this video, but I also want to hear your suggestions for future topics. You can leave a message like, "Christopher, I'd like you to make a video on how to get over a breakup." Or maybe something like, "I'd like you to talk about," well, whatever you have in mind. I'm here to help you improve your relationships and grow as men. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends, because we can all benefit from these techniques.